Hey everyone, welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. If you're ready for the full story, stay right here. Make sure you're subscribed and share this video so you don't miss a single beat. Thank you for being with us. The celebrity rumor mill is spinning again, and at the center of the storm stands Navruz. His recent remarks about his long-running relationship with Alina have sent shockwaves through the backstage corridors of show business. Those who were in the room say he let slip a striking line that won't stop echoing. They kept throwing barriers between me and Alina, but the sentence trails off, but the implications are loud. People who say they've been close to the couple since day one claim that and Alina stepped into the relationship under constant pressure. The hurdles, they say, weren't just random gossip or paparazzi traps. There were long shoots, brutal timing, protective warnings from both camps, and a crowded environment that seemed determined to crowd them out of their own bond. Apparently in a private conversation with trusted friends, captured the weight of it with a confession that many have been speaking about: sometimes feelings aren't enough when the world around you won't go quiet. He reportedly said that love can be complicated not because of what's between two hearts, but because the noise around them never stops humming. He's visibly warned by the magnifying glass held above every step he takes with Alina, and he's adamant that the accusations swirling recently don't belong to reality. Still, a whisper turned into a wave when word spread that confided, "Plenty tried to come between us, and some still are." That single thought fueled a guessing game. Who did he mean? In the corners where TV lights never reach, some insist certain circles never warmed to their relationship. Rumor says they were always too big a story for some people to stomach. While words travel on their own, Alina has kept a steady silence. She hasn't added fire to the fire. Instead, she has poured herself into work and chosen to seal the corners of her private life. Those who've been beside them through the shifting seasons claim they're still together, and that going through the grinder has only tightened their hold on each other. Fans took quiet vow, "Yet even so, I didn't walk away," as a flare in the night. Social media grabbed it, turned it over, and sent it rocketing across timelines. The old question came back: when love hits turbulence, does it crash or climb? The hopeful are rooting for climb. The curious are waiting for Alina to finally respond. In these shadowed corridors, another theory is gaining heat. Words point back to the long, busy months when his private life collided with the highest point of his career. The constant intrusion, the texts, the photos, the endless speculation, all of it made an already delicate thing feel stretched. He supposedly told a close friend, "Needing to justify what I feel was the thing that drained me most," but that letting go of Alina was never on the table. Through it all, Alina's quiet has been the loudest thing about her. Those who share sets with her say she shows up early, stays late, and keeps her eyes on the scenes, not the chatter. The serenity in front of the camera, however, hides something raw. Those who know her describe a private exhaustion paired with a tenderness that hasn't budged. It's said that any headline with name pulls her back into the whirlwind she'd rather leave untouched. One more rumor is circling. Even with the pressure swelling, and Alina decided to carry on entirely on their own terms. No grand declarations, no stage-crafted reunions, no hurried public appearances. Just quieter dinners, careful meetings with old friends, and a promise to solve what needs solving away from the spotlight. The phrase that keeps rolling between insiders, "These hurdles couldn't push us apart," is framed as Alina's private way of summing up the chapter. After latest words rippled out, a tide of messages surged online, full of warmth for Alina. The audience wants to see them side by side again, wants proof the story has a new page. Every fresh whisper only thickens the mystery, and the only question any gossip table wants answered is whether their love will break under the weight or rise because of it. The answers are still tucked away, but the pulse behind the scenes is certain of one thing: this flame won't fade from the headlines easily. Those who spend time with say the gravity of everything shows in the way he carries himself. He keeps his steps measured, deflects when the questions lunge toward his heart, and opts for stillness over spectacle. And yet, the stillness cracks when someone says Alina's name. The man who avoids cameras suddenly softens, and that's where people see the truth he doesn't say. Another sentence he offered: Everyone has a version of this story, but no one knows what we're living, became the clearest explanation for the quiet. As silence thickens on one side, steadiness rises on the other. Alina has guarded her focus, delivering performance after performance with the grace her fans expect. On set, it looks like nothing is happening but the scene. In her private hours, though, there's a fatigue that's hard to hide, a bruised patience, an old ache that flares whenever Alp's name starts trending again. And yet, there is also a resilience her friends point to, a soft resolve that keeps her anchored. Talk also suggests they made a pact, to keep the relationship entirely private for now. Not a denial, not a farewell, more like a trust fall into invisibility. Don't pose, don't tease, don't explain. Some see this approach and declare it proof of an ending. Others call it strategy, the deep breath before the next chapter. In the middle of every rumor stands Alp's unfinished line. They kept putting walls in our way, but the unspoken finish could shift everything. The world that feeds on conjecture is now waiting for the second half of that thought, whether it comes from him or from Alina. Because their story isn't simply a celebrity script. It's a test of whether two people can stay themselves while the world decides who they should be. Updates keep stirring the waters, and each note paints a picture of a couple that has been navigating obstacles since the first look. Alp's declaration, "They placed barriers in front of me, and still I stayed," rekindles the idea that determination and affection can outlast the storm. Supporters feel seen in that sentiment. Skeptics want proof. Meanwhile, the two faces at the center remain mostly out of sight. Friends hint that the pair deliberately cleared noise from their calendars, choosing moments with intention rather than spectacle. If they're out together, it's tucked away, under a friend's roof, within a circle that protects them. If they disagree, they do it softly, face to face, without a crowd. Whispered accounts describe evenings spent talking about where things went wrong and where they still feel right. There are talks of shared plans followed by long pauses, messages typed and deleted, and that stubborn thread of care that refuses to snap. Another detail making the rounds, a handful of people say the couple promised one another to stop letting the industry decide the rhythm of their lives. No more letting a rehearsal call or release date dictate whether they get time for themselves. It's not about pushing careers aside, it's about setting the clock by something other than a schedule. That belief, that their love doesn't have to be collateral damage, is what keeps some insiders convinced we're not watching a breakup, but a recalibration. And then there's the crowd who believes something else entirely, that someone close, a voice they trusted, encouraged distance. On that theory, that some people, in Alp's comment, were not faceless strangers but familiar ones, professionals who stand guard so fiercely that they sometimes smother what they're protecting. Whether that's true or just the favorite tale this week, it certainly fits the mood. The hush around Alina doesn't break easily, even when she's surrounded by noise. She has refused to turn her feelings into sound bites, and that restraint has made the world listen harder. Every red carpet she crosses is examined for clues, every glance weighed like a message. Colleagues describe a woman who navigates all of that with dignity, even when the cost is sleep and calm. It seems every time a headline flares, she goes quiet and goes to work. Those close to Alp say he's doing much the same, though in his case the restraint looks different. He's learned to sidestep questions with a smile that doesn't give anything away. He's present but held back, open but guarded. And yet, let the conversation turn to Alina and there's a shift in his voice. It's a small thing, but that's where the heart shows. As days pass, the narrative that keeps repeating is the same. Less speaking, more holding. The couple is rumored to be choosing the gentle route, showing up for each other without inviting the rest of the world into the room. They don't deny, don't confirm, and don't break the spell by performing their love. For some fans, that lack of public proof is frustrating. For others, it's exactly what makes the story feel authentic. What happens next might come down to the end of that unfinished sentence. They built obstacles between us, but does it end with, "We climbed anyway"? Does it end with, "We found our own way"? Or is the rest of the sentence meant for Alina to complete? The gossip machine hungers for a final act, a last chapter. But love stories don't always run on scripted time. They breathe in real hours, in quiet places, through simple choices no one else gets to hear about. All that's certain is that both of them have felt the squeeze of attention and the weight of expectations. What began as a private bond now carries the voices of a million strangers. Still, their closest allies insist the bond is tougher than it looks from the outside. And every time Alp reminds the world he didn't surrender, the burn of hope flickers back to life. We watch the silence like it's a scene. We read their absence like a line of dialogue. And maybe, when the noise finally softens, we'll hear the ending they've been writing together this whole time. At their pace, on their terms, with no one else holding the pen. This is Secrets Behind the Stars, and that is where we leave you for now. If you enjoyed the story, subscribe and share so you don't miss what comes next. Until the next chapter, stay tuned to Secrets Behind the Stars.